that makes you want to wake up the next day with more energy. And you keep doing it. And you know that one day that thing may not feed you the same energy again. But you know that if you found it once and if you pay attention and if you adjust, you will find energy in all sorts of places. And once you do that a couple of times, you just start to realize what people were talking about all the times where they said that it's an infinite world. There's plenty for everyone. Like there really is. Hey guys, today I want to talk to you about time blindness and more specifically, a few of the things that I found that tend to help. Things that I use that help me to keep my day moving along so I don't get too far down a single kind of alley or too far down off on a single tangent. And also just things that help keep my day moving smooth. So there's a lot of obvious things that people will suggest, and sometimes they work, sometimes they don't. You really do have to try a lot of stuff because even when things work, a lot of times they don't work all the time. So you need a backup plan, you need some overlapping things. But a lot of the things you'll find recommended pretty frequently are time blocking, which is essentially taking chunks of time and setting it apart for this task, and then this task, and this task, and just scheduling out your day like that for like an hour for this, and then half an hour for this. That can be useful for people who have very structured days or very repetitive days. For a lot of people though, the second something kind of falls out of place, it becomes difficult to maintain and it gets a little more complicated just because things shift and you have to reprioritize. So having to do that additional prioritization and reprioritization is very consuming, and it can drain your resources and your bandwidth fairly quickly. So what I found that works better than that is to do sprints. So I will schedule, and I don't need schedule. I will have a plan to accomplish a certain number of sprints per day. Generally, that's kind of just depending on how I'm feeling that day, on where my energy level is. And you really do have to constantly be assessing yourself. And I don't mean constantly. You have to be assessing yourself enough to know where you stand at any given point. You need to know that where you were at 9 a.m. may not be the same at 11 a.m. And you need to have a plan to adjust to that. So with sprints, you can easily cut down to 1 sprint, 2 sprints a day. You can do as many as 4 or 5. And I tend to use 90-minute sprints. I find that like the Pomodoro 25 minutes on, it's just not enough for me to get momentum. So I like to use 90-minute sprints. And the way that I track these and the way that I make sure I don't get lost in these is not alarms. I used to use alarms, but the problem with alarms, just like on your phone or whatever, that when the alarm goes off and you turn it off, it no longer, you could snooze it and play that game. But essentially once you turn the alarm off, it no longer has any ability to trigger that you need to stop. So you can quickly ignore an alarm and push through it and keep going. What I found that works better is having something that actually stops so that when your time runs out, something is lacking, because it's harder to push through when something's lacking that you're used to, especially when it becomes part of your routine. So the thing that I've been using for a little over a year now, and there's no sponsorship, this is just a tool that I found very effective. I really like brain.fm. It's an app that it uses frequency-based music that kind of works with brain and neuroscience to create music that can help you focus. It has music that can help you sleep, music that's helped you work out or meditate, all of these things. But for me, what I like to do is to use it as an alarm. It's kind of like a reverse alarm. So I'll start playing it and I'll set the timer to 90 minutes. And after 90 minutes, this focus music it just kind of blends into the background. And it really does help to kind of tune out some other things. It gets rid of maybe a sound of a ticking clock or some other irritating noise. It just creates a more uniform background noise. And when that disappears, because the timer is run out, it's harder to maintain the focus because I immediately know something is missing. Even if I didn't notice that the music stopped, I'll just be like, wait a minute, and it just won't feel right. So to me, it's very similar to an alarm, except for it takes something away from your experience. So you notice when it's not there. And as long as you don't go right back in and just turn on the next alarm and start it right away, then it's easy to kind of stop. I'll use it as a wind down. So the music will go off, I'll notice, and I'll know that I've got a minute or two. I can wrap up a sentence, an email, a task, whatever, but I'm not going into the next thing because the music's gone. And it's just been repeated enough in my mind that I just kind of know that it's time for a break. It's time to step away. And that really helps with the sensory management, managing your sensory sensitivities. You stare at a screen for a long time, you can get pretty far before you notice that it's irritating your eyes. But what'll happen is after some delayed processing and you get through the end of your day, if you're paying attention, you'll realize that that extra screen time, but doubling down and doing 3 hours straight instead of 90 minutes and a break, that adds up. It quickly drives your gauge higher and higher until by the end of the day, all of the other things that added into this mix have made it to where you no longer, are calm and peaceful. You have a headache, you may be stressed, you may be anxious. The things, they add up. So you have to treat the stuff earlier in the day just as important as you treat the things later in the day when you can recognize that you're running out of bandwidth, when you have a headache, when you start to get tense in the shoulders. Like, yeah, those times it's easier to kind of turn it down a little bit. But in the morning, when you're still feeling fresh, is when you really have to start monitoring these things, because it is a cumulative effect. All the stuff just adds up. So talked about alarms. We talked about using tools like Burnout FM that take something away when the time runs out. I use all of the things. Again, you need to overlap as much as you can. So I will use my calendar notifications. I probably turn on 3 or 4 for any kind of important event. Most things I just let the email come in the morning and I'm like, oh, I got this going on. But if it's something important or something that's like a key deadline that I know is going to be a critical part of my day, I might set 4 notifications. I might say 1 for yesterday, 1 for this morning, and like an hour before and 10 minutes before. But that's because I know that I have this capacity to just kind of veer off course quickly. So I do all these things in overlapping. And the more important the task is, the more critical that I be on time and that I be there and that it's time sensitive, those tasks, I turn the dial up a little bit. For example, I was actually just telling this story yesterday. I was visiting some family and they were talking about things they got in trouble for in the past, and arrest record. And I actually have an arrest record for fireworks in the military. I got arrested for fireworks on the 4th of July. The whole town was shooting them off and they were just going around giving out tickets. And anyway, I missed my court date because of time blindness and ended up getting arrested. It wasn't like I was kept in jail, but I paid a fee and I had an arrest record at that point. But I missed my court date because I woke up, got dressed, sat down on the couch for 10 minutes before I was supposed to leave, and then watched a movie. 2 hours later, I realized that I was supposed to be in court, and I call and they're like, oh, come on in tomorrow. And you show up and they give you the thing and say, well, it said here you're arrested technically. And it all worked out fine. But my point is, like, time blindness is real. It can affect things quickly. It can take over quickly. It doesn't just, like, you can set all the alarms in the world, but if you lose track of those 10 minutes before you're about to head to your court date, well, you missed your court date. And that's all that really matters. It doesn't matter everything that happened up until that point. So what you have to do is intentionally look at these things that have worked for you. You have to look at the alarms. You have to look at the music and the routine. You have to look at all of these things and you have to fill the gaps. You have to iterate and repeatedly just upgrade your plan and process. And it's not nearly as much work as it sounds. Eventually you just start to naturally be like, oh, this didn't really work great. I should probably tweak that for next time. And once you do that, you start to notice things are better. And then you say, oh, you know what? That worked pretty well. What if I did this and made this slight adjustment? I bet that would work even better. And then you just repeat. You just keep making those changes, and they don't add all of this weight to your day. In fact, by intentionally spending this time and being mindful of what you're going through in the moment in order to save your bandwidth later, it actually adds a lot of quality to your day and a lot of time. Get more bandwidth because you're doing things more efficiently, more effectively. You're finding a better way every single day. And that applies with time blindness. So you will have times where your system does fail. I still have time where my system fails. I'm like, how did I forget that? And then I literally think, okay, here's how I forgot that. Let's see if I can figure out some way to fill that gap next time when this situation comes again. And then you figure it out. It stops being a thing. It starts becoming a habit. It runs in the background. It's one of your processes, your scripts, your softwares that you don't even think about. And you move on to the next thing until it's time to come and reassess again, because life has no real destination moments. Like, no matter what happens, you don't get to a point and you're like, well, I'm good. Like, this is why like suicide is so high, a high rate among people who are wealthy, is because even if you have money and you have no reason to do anything or to try or to work towards any goal or no mission, like, you're not happy. The goal isn't to rest. The goal isn't to seek the most pleasure and rest that you can find. It's to find things to put your energy in that will feed you energy back in a way that drives your passion, that piques your curiosity, that makes you want to wake up the next day with more energy. And you keep doing it. And you know that one day that thing may not feed you the same energy again. But you know that if you found it once, and if you pay attention and if you adjust, you will find energy in all sorts of places. And once you do that a couple of times, you just start to realize what people were talking about all the times where they said that it's an infinite world. There's plenty for everyone. Like, there really is. It just takes a mindset change. So look at your day, figure out where your time is going, figure out where you can gain time, and do that because you're intentionally making a day that works for you with your limitations and your abilities and strengths and all of the things. Just keep shaping your day until it's perfect, and then know that tomorrow you get to shape it some more because it won't be perfect again. Heraclitus said that no man ever steps in the same river twice. It's so true. Like, you learn something today, and all of a sudden something you learned 10 years ago makes so much more sense and is so much more powerful. Like, you have things inside your mind already that are just waiting for you to connect. So get out there, connect your things, figure out your day and plan accordingly, and just keep living with intention and enjoy the day.